What's going on, guys? Welcome back to an episode of season 4 here. In this episode, we're going to be going over a track guide, a detailed breakdown of Nola Motorsports Park in Louisiana. We just got back from the 3rd and 4th rounds of the TC America Championship. So as a continuation of our Sonoma track guide, we are going to be looking at how to get around this circuit in the quickest way possible. So as always, I am not a professional. This lap is not perfect, but I do think I have some insight to share as we were among the fastest BMW all weekend long. While this isn't the perfect lap, it is in a race situation, so I am chasing the car in front while also getting chased from behind. So pressure's on, got to make sure we hit our marks. Let's get into it. So coming down the front straight here at Nola, we are in 5th gear, about 140 miles an hour. This is really the only point on the circuit where you have a minute to breathe, check your gauges, talk to your crew, see what's going on behind you and in front of you. So kind of once you enter turn 1 here, it's kind of 2 hands on the wheel, full focus until you come back around. So right around 140 miles an hour, look for the brake markers on the left. I think we got to back up just a little bit here. You can see the 300 board right here on my left. That was the brake marker. You could go all of the 300 board on a qualifying lap with stickers and good track conditions. You could even push that just a little bit. So tons of grip in this braking zone. We're going down 2 gears to 3rd. Pretty standard corner. This was an easy corner to charge really hard. There's lots of grip here, nothing crazy going on, just a pretty basic sort of 90-degree corner here. Turning in around the 100 board, again, looking on the left, trail braking right to the apex. I was not using any of this curbing. I felt like it just sort of upset the car more than anything, but depending on the car that you have, you could use this, but getting right up to the apex, squeezing on the power, running all the way out to the exit curb. You want to be a little bit careful if you use too much of this curb. I found in the BMW M2, it was easy to lose traction as the car is really loaded up on that left side, and you have to kind of bring the car over a little bit for turn 2. So you don't want to get too suckered out there, but you want to track out all the way. You want to carry as much speed as you can through 1, get back in the power. You can see at this point we are full power. Bringing the car just a little bit over to the right to help open up the entry for turn 2. Turn 2 on sticker tire, good conditions, is easy flat if you're set up properly, but you'll see here with a little bit of rain coming down and just not the perfect setup, it can be a little bit of a struggle. But going up to 4th gear and trying to come back into the curb there, you can see I'm really fighting the car because it's easy for that car to get loose as you're going through there. But going into turn 3 now, looking on the access road on the right here, right as that access road ends is when the brake comes on. So you can see down there, we're just coming off the throttle as we're coming onto the brake here. So 4th gear, hard brake zone, down 2 gears to 2nd. This is one of those corners that feels like you're always apexing, but you're also never really apexing. It is a very weird corner in the car where you're constantly turning. It's hard to feel like you really got it right. So there's a few different lines you could take through here. The line that I, for whatever reason, sort of gravitated to was one that was a little bit quicker on the entry. I'm kind of diagonaling the braking, so I'm carrying a lot more speed on entry, but I'm a little bit slower on the exit. It ends up really being a wash. So depending on the car you have, how much aero you have, stuff like that, you might benefit from more of sort of a bend like the car in front of me is doing. But for whatever reason, this is the way I was taking this corner and it seemed to work out pretty well. But 2nd gear coming right into the corner and then coming back into this curb to be set up for turn 4. It's very easy for the car to get light and loose here. So just kind of being ready, anticipating the rear to step out up to 3rd gear, running right to the top of 3rd. Now, right at the start of this curbing is where the brake zone really was. There's not true markings here, so you need to find something that's not going to move when you're on a track, right? So for me, it was the start of this curbing was a pretty good braking point here. You can see how rubbered in the track is. Turn 4 is another one of those turns where you're going really slow, you're waiting, you're rolling, you're coasting. It feels like you're not doing it properly, but I assure you, patience is huge on turn 4 here. You want to wait. You don't want to get the power too early. You're going to push out and really hurt your run into turn 5 and stuff like that. I'm actually a little bit too narrow here. So ideally I would be off a little bit like where the car in front of me is, but your mark here for your apex is right where the pavement changes. So you can see how we're going from asphalt to some different sort of pavement, and you can actually see how abrasive there's this patch here that was really the apex. And I was telling myself, do not hit the throttle, do not hit the gas until you know your front right tire is going to get in there. That's how you know you're at the apex. Now you can start to squeeze on the power here, open up the hands, and use as much track on the exit as you can. So running right to the exit curb there, not pinching the exit, up to the gearbox, up through gear 4. Now this is where the track goes from mid-speed to a lot faster, higher speed turn. So turn 5 here. Again, braking right at the start of this curbing. Again, you got to find marks here at Nola. There's not a ton of brake markers, stuff like that. So finding places to brake and turn in is going to be crucial to staying on the track and going quickly around here. So braking at the start of this curbing, very light brake. And now we just roll. At this point, you can see there's no throttle or brake. We're just rolling, trying to get the car to come into the apex here. Ideally staying off this curb. I think I take a little bit too much here, but you're so loaded on the left side that right side, when it does hit the curbing, it's merely just sort of skipping across it. So again, depending on your car, take the curb if you can. Get back to power. Now this is the key, is open up the hands here. So I had a little wiggle from that curbing, but as soon as we come out, we're tracking out all the way over the curbing. You don't want to pinch this exit here. It might be, you might think, oh, here's the curbing, I want to stay right here. But if you keep that wheel in there, you're going to have to be slower on the exit and kill your lap time. So you really want to skip all the way across this curbing, but just be careful with the bumps. Again, depending on how your car handles these, not be too aggressive on the power, because it is very easy to get loose here. Now, going into turn 6, probably the most difficult turn in my opinion on the track. This is a turn where if you nail it, you'll put down a really quick lap. If you miss it, you're gonna lose half a second to a second easily on the lap. So this was a crucial corner at Nola, and it happens very quickly. You can see we're going 100 miles an hour here, and the problem with turn 6 is there's just no markers anywhere. So you really got to get your head up, be looking for something to help guide you through here. So gonna break this down into a few parts here. First part is the braking. You're gonna see we're just coming back on the actual racing surface here. And that was the cue to brake and start to find this apex. So basically right here, we're off and we're hitting the brakes. Again, it's not a very firm brake because you want to keep your rolling speed up, but you don't want to go too quickly to where you can't get back to power. So we're 4th gear, a little bit of a brake, down to 3rd gear. Now again, this was one of those turns where you could take it in 4th gear. I like taking it in 3rd gear for a few reasons. One, it helps slow the car down that extra mile an hour. Because the exit is so important here, if you take it in 4th gear, you're a little bit more at risk of carrying too much speed through the corner and not getting it back to power soon enough, hurting your run all the way into the S's. So by going to 3rd gear, it just slowed the car down a little bit more. It gave me a lot more pull coming out of the corner, and also it helped rotate the car. When I was in 4th gear, I felt like I had a ton of understeer and I couldn't get the car to really get into the apex. So by going down to 3rd gear, it helped sort of pitch the car in the nose, rotate a bit more, and then I knew I could balance that sort of slide that's coming on by getting back to power. So the next part of this is this sealant line. You'll see this sealant line in the middle of the road here. That is really a marker for where you want to be putting your car, because as you can see from now, you really can't see the apex. You can't see the apex curbing. There's no marking, so it's very easy to miss this. So by keeping your car in a spot relative to the sealant line, I kind of always tried to have my left wheels on the left side of it. It just helped me know that I was going to come to the apex when I needed to. So rolling speed in at 3rd gear, again, I'm just coasting at this point. Now I start to see the apex, and at this point I know I can commit the power. I know I'm good. If I was too wide, I would have to wait on power still and put more wheel in it, but I know that I'm going to hit the apex where I need to, so I can start to feed back on power, because again, long straightaway back here, we want to try to get on power as soon as we can here. So bringing the car in, keeping your eyes up, spotting the apex, full power at the apex 3rd gear, have a lot of pull coming out, running all the way out to the curbing here. There's even a bit more to use if you need it. Getting on the power, 4th gear, up through the gearbox. The back section here, again, is probably another spot where you have a moment to breathe, but you're kind of always turning, going very quick here, so it's not as relaxed as the front straight, but really just getting ready for probably the highest speed corners of the entire circuit, the S's. So 4th gear, up to 5th gear. Now this is where the S's start. So coming in here in 5th gear, look at the end of this curbing here. So end of the curbing here, and if you look at my hands, I just barely started to put the wheel in it. So still under full power, now I lift. The key here is getting on the back side of this first curbing here. You want to take all the curb you can, try to get the car to the right to be set up for the rest of the S's. If you come off this curb too early, if you don't hit it at all, you're going to be way too narrow on the entry of the next part of the S's. At this point, I don't really know what turn numbers these are, but the key here is, again, look, if we just go sort of frame by frame, look at how we're still all the way to the right side of the road here. We don't want to be coming in on the left side. So we want to sacrifice the entry speed into the S's a little bit to make sure we're nice and set up to work the car through here. So by the time we get here, we're braking and downshifting to fourth gear. So very light brake, grabbing fourth gear. And now a same sort of story, getting on this curbing and holding the car on the left here. You don't want to release too early. One, you're going to be in the marbles, the dirty part of the track, but also you're going to be very pinched for the next part and arguably the most important part of the S's, which is sort of the mid to the exit. So again, keeping the car to the left, now we're able to go back to full power and drive it all the way through here. Lifting, do whatever you got to do if it's a left foot brake, but again, keeping the car on the curbing, keeping the car to the right. Same exact story. You don't want to release the car too early here because you still have another left-hander to get around for the run into maybe turn 13 it is. So if you release too early and you end up on the other side of the road, you're going to have to check up terrifically to get around here. So you want to keep the car to the right. But now at this point, car set up well, let the car balance out. Now you can see we're just fighting power, and you can see we close on the car in front of us here. And that's really just because we were set up enough for the last part of the S's, and now we're just squeezing. It's just a matter of how much power can we get into this. Again, good tires, good conditions. You know, it's not flat out, but it's very, very light lift. And that's just, you know, as you work through the weekend or whatever you're doing, it's just getting the confidence to modulate the throttle and drive through that corner. But using all the road here, coming right to this next exit curb here, and then squeezing on, and getting ready for turn 13, 14, 15. Let's call this 13, okay? This stuff happens very quickly again here. Again, we're going 115 miles an hour, and so you gotta hustle to get the car back to the left here. You don't wanna be lazy here, so drive the car to the left, looking for the brake zone. Fourth gear. Now, this was one of those corners that was very easy to overdrive. Brake too late and you miss the apex. So I had to remind myself to brake a little bit earlier than you thought you needed to, right? You didn't want to drive this too deep and then completely blow the final sector. So braking before the curbing there, but you can see just how black the surface of the track is right here from everyone hitting the brakes, you know, laying rubber down, stuff like that. So this is a really good marker to brake. Fourth gear, hard brake zone, down to third gear here. Another sort of very similar corner to turn one, just much slower. Getting right into this curbing here. I think depending on the car, you could take more of this curbing, but again, the M2 is such a heavy, soft car that when you hit these curbs, it really throws the car around. So if I didn't have to really murder these curbs, I didn't. Third gear, applying power, tracking out all the way, kind of pulling the car to the right a little bit to sort of get set up here, but again, you're not gaining too much here around turn 14 as much as if you carry more speed through 13. So it's always that constant balance of what corners do you sacrifice, what corners do you really try to maximize depending on what's before or after them. So this is one where, again, you're waiting, left foot braking, lifting, really just modulating through here. I think the car in front of me is a little bit off. You really want to just kind of wrap this whole thing. And again, keeping the car to the left here because now we have a double right. So making sure we're set up to carry speed through the right here. So holding the car, not getting too aggressive on the power here, sacrificing that turn. And you'll see now we're full power. Look where we are. We're nice and set up for the run into 14 and 15 here. It's like no matter how you did it, it always just feels so slow. It feels like you're just losing a ton of time, but patience is really crucial here. So kind of turn in under power and just lift. You're going to feel a lot of push here. You're kind of really bullying the car, it feels like, really killing the front tires. So you got to be mindful as the race goes on of kind of how you're driving this, but it's really just turning in underpowered, then lifting to get the weight to the nose to help turn the car, coming right into that first one. Now applying power, tracking out all the way to the curbing here to get set up for arguably the most important corner of the entire track, turn 15 or 16 going on to the long front straightaway. So you want to get nice and set up, nice and wide here. Third gear still. I'm just braking enough to help turn the car. So there's an initial brake to actually slow the car, and then the remaining brake is merely just to steer, right? So had a lot of understeer through this section, so I was just kind of using the brake to help put the weight on the nose of the car to help provide traction essentially. So once I knew I had the grip, I was able to apex here. Now I'm back to squeezing on power as early as we can, right? We have a long straightaway. I'm trying to stay in this car's draft, so you don't want to be late to power here. It's sort of the golden rule of racing, slow and fast out. You don't want to go too fast in this corner to where you can't get back to power. So once you get into this curbing, it's not a super late apex because you have a lot of track out you can use. So you don't want to apex too late and overslow it. But if you apex too early, you're going to have to really check up. So again, it's getting that balance, figuring out your marks here. You can see how early we're full power. The beauty of this corner, again, is the track out. You really want to just open up the hands, run all the way out over this track out curb. And you can see just how marked down this curbing is. All the paint is gone from all the cars running out over it. So again, we're not limiting our track out where the curb starts. We're running all the way over this, right to the wall here. So that's why you can really carry speed, apex, kind of open up the hands, squeeze fully on the power, third, fourth, fifth gear, trying to stay in the draft, and getting ready for another lap around Nola Motorsports Park. Nola Motorsports Park it's a really cool circuit that, as you can see, has a little bit of everything. It's almost like the first sector is medium speed corners, the second sector is really high speed corners, and the final sector is very slow corners. So it requires precision, a fast car, and a well-handling car to really extract the maximum lap time around Nola Motorsports Park. So enjoy an uninterrupted lap of Nola Motorsports Park, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see all of you guys in the next one. Take it easy, fam. Peace out.